You have a great time listening to the story. If you enjoy it, don't forget to give me a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. I was born in a brothel, yet my face resembles the princess as if cast from the same mold. Because of this, I was branded with a lotus flower identical to hers, forced to replace her in a political marriage to the enemy kingdom as a sacrificial pawn. To humiliate me, the old emperor married me off to the 9th prince, Alexander Crown. You've already lost both your legs. Rumors say that Alex is the emperor's most despised son. Ever since he lost his legs on the battlefield, he can no longer stand. His life won't last much longer. On our wedding night, a masked figure lifted my veil. I looked at his broad shoulders and long legs, exclaiming joyfully, "The rumors are indeed just rumors. My lord is truly very healthy." Unexpectedly, he turned around. A person sitting in a wheelchair, dressed in wedding attire, smiled faintly and said, "It seems the princess prefers such vigorous men. I'm afraid I must disappoint you." So I had mistaken him for someone else. This was the real Alexander Crown. I quickly withdrew my hand and said awkwardly, "Not necessarily so." Alex smiled harmlessly. "It's fine, princess. Please speak freely. I have a good temperament and won't hold grudges." His smile was beautiful, eyes sparkling in the candlelight like shattered stars. Mesmerized by his beauty, I blurted out, "Well then, I do prefer stronger men to wheelchairs." The wheelchair was pushed forward. Alex sighed, "What a pity. With my body like this, I'm afraid I'll have to wrong you, princess." Well, it can't be helped." I sighed along with him, then consoled myself. "Since we're already married, we must make do. We can't divorce, can we?" The silver, masked man, likely Alex's subordinate, helped him sit beside me, not forgetting to glare at me. I glared back defiantly. He drew his sword from his side. I immediately pulled out the sharp hairpin from my head. Alex sat beside us, watching with interest for a moment, then smiled and waved his hand. "Withdraw? Your Highness." Alex still smiled warmly, but Ethan's expression was grave as he bowed. "Yes." When only two of us remained in the room, he lowered the bed curtains and said softly, "The wedding ceremonies are tedious. Princess must be tired after such a long day. Why don't you rest early?" Hearing this, I immediately perked up. "You want to consummate with me?" Before becoming the substitute princess for this political marriage, I was trained in the Jade House to become a top courtesan. The 4 arts, music, chess, calligraphy, and painting, were just the surface. What I studied most was how to please men. This body was also meticulously cared for: full breasts, slim waist, red lips, soft arms, cat-like eyes that sparkled enchantingly. Madame Scarlet once told me, "Rose, my child, you are a natural-born beauty. Just by removing your clothes, no man could resist you." Unexpectedly, just as I pulled my robe open slightly, Alex stopped me. "No need." I looked up at him suspiciously. "Are you not a man?" Alex was speechless, his deep eyes gazing at me. "Princess must know I have disabilities. I'm afraid I cannot consummate the marriage." "It's fine." With professional spirit, I waved my hand understandingly. "You just lie there. I can manage everything myself." Alex pulled off the elaborately embroidered wedding robe from my body. I remembered Madame's instructions and coquettishly called out, "My lord," in a soft voice meant to evoke sympathy. Alex removed the complex hairpins from my head. I weakly pushed his hand away. "No, we can't," while playfully encouraging him. The room filled with cheerfulness. He took a silk ribbon from the bed curtains and tied my wrists. My heart filled with anticipation. Unexpectedly, Alex pulled the blanket to cover the lotus mark on my chest, then lay beside me. "Princess, be good and just sleep like this." I couldn't believe it, but beside the soft fragrance, Alex truly closed his eyes and fell asleep. My heart felt as if doused with cold water. Unable to sleep at all, I lay beside him, trying to use memories to lull myself to sleep. I grew up in the Jade House from childhood. They say my mother also came from such a place, deceived by a high official who promised marriage before getting her pregnant. She died shortly after giving birth to me. Madame Scarlet saw I had a lovely appearance with potential worth cultivating, so she raised me in the Jade House. She taught me to read and write, play instruments, paint, do needlework, and bedroom skills, determined to transform me into an all-talented courtesan. However, just 1 month before I came of age, someone suddenly appeared and bought my freedom with 10,000 gold taels, bringing me to the palace. Only then did I learn that our border had suffered a great defeat. The Protector General had died in battle. The young general from Thalassa Kingdom had consecutively captured 7 cities, making our already impoverished Eldoria even more destitute. Seeing they wanted to continue their assault, the emperor hastily proposed a political marriage, but couldn't bear to send his only daughter. So he decided to have me, who resembled the princess, replace her in marriage. That day I knelt in the palace while Princess Victoria sat high above, her cold gaze upon me filled with both resentment and unwillingness. A lowly jadehouse courtesan dares to use a face identical to mine. Madame Scarlet had taught me, Rose, for someone of your status, so-called pride is merely to raise your value a bit. Self-respect should be discarded early. I lowered my head obediently. Yes, this servant's status is lowly. How could I compare to your highness's precious jade, like nobility? The princess approached, her blade grazing my face. I looked at her in terror until the emperor spoke up. Enough, Victoria. If you ruin her face, who will replace you in the marriage? She coldly snorted and threw down the blade, ordering, brand the lotus mark on her chest. No anesthetic allowed, let this despicable woman truly feel the pain. Princess Victoria had a birthmark lotus on her body, a sign of good fortune. The emperor loved her even more because of it. I was stripped bare and pinned to a stone slab. It took a full day and night to complete the branding. By the end, I was in too much pain to make a sound. To be fair, Princess Victoria did have some genuine grievances. After all, without me, she would have been the one married off to Thalassa. Among the entourage were 2 palace maids who were actually spies from Adoria's imperial court, supposedly to monitor me while gathering intelligence to report back. Indeed, initially everyone thought I would be taken into the old emperor's harem. Even I thought so, feeling somewhat regretful. No matter how vigorous the old emperor might be, he couldn't compare to a fresh young man. Unexpectedly, I ended up being married to Alexander Crown. To perform an evil, warding ceremony, they wanted to humiliate me, but I wasn't the real princess and didn't feel humiliated. At noon the next day, Alex had already awakened. Hearing movement, I immediately opened my eyes and said gently, "My lord is awake. Please untie this silk ribbon." Alex sat up, propping himself against the headboard, smiling as he watched me. "Oh, why? So I can serve my lord in dressing and washing." Alex shook his head. "No need. The princess is of precious nobility, how could you do such things? Just keep it tied like that." Finally, I grew annoyed. "Alex, untie it quickly. I need to use the bathroom." Alex laughed and helped me remove the silk ribbon. As I tried to get out of bed, he pulled me back, draping an outer robe over me. "Princess, don't forget to dress. There are servants outside to guide you." After relieving myself and returning, Alex was already properly dressed and having breakfast. The silver, masked man stood beside him, whispering something. In last night's dim candlelight, only now could I clearly see Alex's clear eyes, high nose bridge, jade-like fair skin, and a beauty mark at the corner of his eye that added allure. But his expression was cold. Such a beautiful person, yet missing his legs and with a shortened life, truly a case of beauty meeting tragic fate. I stood at the door staring intently. He looked up. "Princess, you're done. Come have breakfast. We must enter the palace soon to pay respects to Father Emperor." Upon entering the palace, the old emperor hadn't finished morning court, leaving us to wait outside. Seeing the increasingly harsh sun, I pushed Alex's wheelchair into the shade. Just then, 3 people approached. The 2 in front somewhat resembled Alex, though one looked more sinister while the other more arrogant. The arrogant one, upon seeing Alex, immediately laughed. "Second brother, it seems the evil warding ceremony worked. 9th brother who wasn't supposed to live much longer actually looks better today." The second prince didn't look at Alex, only at me. Such a pity for Princess Victoria. With 9th brother's disabled body, the princess must endure much. The other immediately laughed louder. More like a jadehouse courtesan, with plenty of theoretical knowledge. I immediately understood the hidden meaning in his words, and looked at Alex sitting in the wheelchair, his jaw tight, expression coldly indifferent. But I'd also heard he was once a romantic youth. After losing his legs in one incident, he fell into the mud. Disabled legs, shortened life, unloved by his father, mocked by his brothers. After much difficulty marrying a princess only to get me, a fake. How picking this, I pretended to cry out, then softly collapsed into Alex's arms. He accurately caught me, lowering his head to look, emotions in his eyes mostly hidden by his lashes. The second prince startled, stepping back half a pace to ask, "What's wrong with the princess?" I shyly lowered my head. "It's nothing. Just that last night his ninth highness was very vigorous. Today I'm truly weak-legged and unsteady. I adjusted to a comfortable position in his arms, looking up at the two princes. Seeing their disgusted expressions filled me with satisfaction. Just as I was about to speak, the eunuch attending the emperor suddenly appeared with a stern face. His Majesty has finished morning court and summons the ninth prince and princess to the study for an audience. After speaking, the old eunuch saw me in Alex's arms, his face twitching. Ninth princess, please. Alex truly wasn't favored. On the way, the eunuch didn't bother pushing the wheelchair. I had to do it myself. In the study, upon seeing Alex, the old emperor's eyes flashed with obvious disgust as he spoke. I see your complexion has improved greatly after marriage. Now that you've established your own household and mansion, focus on recuperating. The old emperor was truly skilled with words. Outside in the sun, the journey had left Alex's face red from exposure. How was that improved complexion? While I was silently thinking, he turned to look at me. Princess Victoria has worked hard. Having to care for Alex in the future will truly be difficult. I had to pretend and say it wasn't hard, exchanging pleasantries. The old emperor, losing patience, dismissed us. I pushed Alex to the palace gates, panting from exhaustion. Turning back, I saw Alex smiling at me. Angrily I said, "How dare you laugh, I'm exhausted." He signaled for Ethan to take over, then pulled out a handkerchief. My fault. A disabled body unable to walk, troubling the princess. Hearing his melancholy tone and thinking of the old emperor's attitude, my anger dissipated. Well, it's not your fault. I consoled him. Actually, it wasn't that tiring. I used to practice dancing, which was even more exhausting. Alex narrowed his eyes. Oh, why would a precious princess study dancing? Right, I was now Princess Victoria. In both Eldoria and Thalassa, noble ladies studied music, chess, calligraphy, painting, even military strategy, but dancing and singing were usually only learned by commoners and lower-class women. I laughed it off. Personal interest. Personal interest. Getting into the carriage, Ethan helped Alex adjust to a comfortable position, then went out to drive. Alex lazily leaned against the soft cushions, smiling as he watched me. Sunlight filtering through the curtain gaps illuminated his deep eyes. Black hair, white face, truly beautiful. I peeled 2 tangerines, and seeing him watching me, asked in surprise, "Why are you looking at me?" "The princess eats with such focused dedication, it's quite adorable," he said with a smile. I suspected he was mocking me but had no evidence. Swallowing the last tangerine segment, I asked seriously, "People say my lord won't live much longer. Is that true?" Alex burst out laughing. "The princess is admirably direct and adorable." He turned a page in his book leisurely. "But the rumors aren't entirely baseless. Previously, when I led troops into battle, though I never lost except for that one battle, I sustained numerous injuries. Later, losing both legs severely damaged my vital energy. The imperial physician said if I don't recuperate well, I certainly won't live past 20. He spoke of this with a very calm, even serene tone, showing no fear of death. I unconsciously looked up into his beautiful eyes. They rippled like a lake surface. News traveled fast in the Jade House, so I'd naturally heard the legends about him. Before his injury, he had distinguished military achievements, excelled in both literature and martial arts, and was at the peak of his youth with limitless prospects. However, life is unpredictable. I couldn't help feeling sad, sniffling as I said, "Alex, you should recuperate well. Don't die. I don't want to be a widow." Ethan lifted the carriage curtain and poked his head in, coldly saying, "Ninth princess." I truly suspected he was Alex's real lover. "Ethan needn't worry. The princess is just concerned for me. I'm very touched," he said, looking out the window before suddenly saying, "Stop the carriage." "What orders does your highness have?" Alex slightly raised his chin. "Go to the pastry shop next door and buy a package of freshly made walnut cakes." Ethan returned quickly, bringing the items into the carriage before returning to drive. Alex opened the package of steaming walnut cakes and pushed them toward me. "Princess, eat." I asked in surprise, "How did you know I was hungry?" "Just now in the palace. The princess pushed me the entire way with such effort, needless to say." The freshly made walnut cakes were still hot, carrying a sweet fragrance. Paired with green tea, I ate very happily until I accidentally looked up and saw Alex watching me. I hesitated a moment, then broke off a piece to offer him. "If you want some, why didn't you have Ethan buy another package?" Alex didn't take it, just narrowed his eyes thoughtfully and asked, Does the princess like walnut cakes so much? I lowered my head to look at what was in my hand and answered, they're all right. When you're hungry, everything tastes better. Besides, weren't you the one who specifically had Ethan buy them? This Alex was truly strange. Not long after we returned to the mansion, rewards from the palace arrived. Though the old emperor clearly despised Alex, he still had to maintain appearances, rewarding quite a few pieces of jewelry and fabrics, along with a pair of jade royal scepters. I took out an exquisitely crafted golden butterfly hairpin from the box, admiring it lovingly before putting it in my hair and asking Alex, "Is it beautiful?" Alex tilted his head, resting his chin on his hand as he gazed at me for a while, then smiled. "The princess has beauty like flowers and moon, naturally anything you wear is beautiful. It's just that this hairpin only has one color of gold, which is a bit monotonous and less elegant when worn." I pretended not to hear him. "What do you know? I like this simplicity. My sisters in the Jade House had taught me that in this world, whether it's beautiful men or sweet words, none can be trusted. Only gold and silver are truly valuable." I deeply agreed and remembered this well. I selected a few more glittering gold jewelry pieces from the box before turning to look at other items. The young eunuch from the palace introduced, "This is a congratulatory gift for the 9th prince and princess's wedding from the 10th prince." Opening the box, inside on red brocade lay a jade pillar as thick as a child's arm, with one end rather peculiarly shaped. I couldn't believe my eyes, glancing to see a mocking smile flash across the face of the young eunuch holding the box. The 10th prince instructed that since the 9th prince has physical impairments and the princess is of precious nobility, certain matters may inevitably be lacking. So he sent me to deliver this item to fulfill the 9th prince's wishes. "Since it's 10th brother's thoughtful intention, they'll accept it," Alex said casually. After that, Ethan went to receive the item. Watching the palace people leave, I suddenly rushed over, snatched the box from Ethan's hands, and smashed it hard on the ground. The box shattered, but the jade remained intact among the silk brocade. Ethan angrily glared at me, and I glared back just as fiercely. "What are you looking at? Did you really think they had good intentions giving us this rod for blessings? Are you even men? Haven't you seen such things before?" "Ethan, don't be rude." Alex's voice held no emotion. "My apologies, princess." Ethan immediately knelt down. "This subordinate has been insolent. Please forgive me, princess." 10th brother's mother is the junior consort who has imperial favor, now promoted to noble consort in the palace. He's also close with the 2nd prince. No one in court dares offend him," Alex said. "I know the princess is kind-hearted and straightforward, wanting to protect me. But although I know what this item is, in front of palace people I can only pretend not to know. After all, I'm already a dying man." When he spoke those last 4 words, his voice carried a hint of choking that made me very uncomfortable. So I bent down to pick up the jade piece, wrapping it back in the brocade. "If that's the case, then women's jokes have nothing to do with court and harem politics, right?" Alex asked. "What does the princess mean?" I smiled brightly. "The 10th prince gave such a large gift, I'm very grateful. Naturally, I must reciprocate." Then I had Ethan find a skilled craftsman outside to carve the jade into an exquisite hairpin with an age-appropriate design for the 10th prince, Marcus. When everything was complete, the 2 spies who had accompanied me from Eldoria also appeared. They asked me, "You've been married to the 9th prince for over a month. Have you gathered any important intelligence?" I said helplessly, "Alex can't walk and already lacks the emperor's favor. Now his power has been stripped away. Every day he just takes me shopping and listens to books. What important intelligence could he possibly have to pass on?" Seeing their angry looks, I counterattacked. "What about you two? When you arrived, you claimed to have high martial arts skills. How many days has it been? Have you snuck into the palace to gather intelligence?" They were stunned. I slammed the table. "What use are you?" "Rose Sterling, you're just a lowly person from the Jade House. How dare you really think of yourself as Princess Victoria?" The spy named Luna raised her hand to strangle me. "I'm giving you half a year. If you can't find anything useful, you'll have no value left." "You can't be serious, sister. I'm the substitute for Princess Victoria who came here. If I die, how will you explain it?" Seeming to see through my thoughts, Stella beside her smirked. "If Princess Victoria dies unclearly in Thalassa, our country can righteously march north to demand justice for the princess." Looking at her confident appearance, I was completely speechless. So you're not continuing to attack Thalassa because you lack just cause. Not because you lack the strength to fight back. Perhaps my expression was too obvious. Luna glared, her hand around my throat tightening. But just then, the door was pushed open. Alex suddenly wheeled in, narrowing his eyes with a smile. "Princess, what are you doing?" Luna awkwardly released her hand and lowered her head. Looking into Alex's smiling eyes, I stammered, "Oh, I want to make a necklace. Luna is helping me measure." Alex was silent for a moment, measuring with hands. I suppressed the pain and nodded at him, widening my cat-like eyes to increase credibility. Alex had Luna and Stella withdraw, wheeling himself to me. He looked up at me. I unconsciously pulled my collar, trying to hide the marks on my neck. Alex suddenly sighed and pulled out a small book. "Princess, do you know what this is?" He brought the book to my face. I lowered my eyes, saw the images and text on the cover, and blushed, but pretended not to understand. "What is this?" "When I was in the study, I found this in an unfinished military strategy book. Yesterday Ethan said only the princess entered my study, so I lied. Maybe Ethan left it there. Your Highness should ask Ethan." I noticed he'd been. But before I could finish, Alex suddenly pulled my belt, making me fall onto his lap. I cried out in panic, frantically touching his legs. "Alex, are you all right? The physician just said your legs need careful attention, and today I sat on them. I could only pray my lightweight wasn't too heavy." He grunted, suddenly grasping my hand. His beautiful face gradually drew closer, his warm breath saying, "Princess, do you know?" I looked at him dazedly, my heart skipping a beat. "Know what?" "Normally the princess calls me by name directly. Only when afraid does she call me Your Highness, like Ethan does." His lips paused by my ear. If according to the princess, this was left by Ethan, then what is the princess afraid of? The ambiguous feeling combined with his fresh breath coiled together. The closeness made it impossible for me to think, so I turned my face away. Seeing him as leisurely as morning mist, yet like a blood-stained sword piercing through screens straight into my eyes, I slowly remembered, before becoming a disabled, harmless prince, he had also killed and spilled blood. As the princess shy, Alex laughed softly. 7 days ago when I was bathing, you wore thin clothes and burst in. 3 days ago before sleeping, you burned aphrodisiac incense. Now you've placed this in my book." His cool fingers touched my neck like a sharp, cold blade. I trembled. "I admit I was just curious." "Oh really?" I looked away. He gently squeezed. The sharp pain pulled me into memories. Back then, I'd tried to escape the Jade House but was caught by Madame's people. My hands were scalded, then bound behind me with rough rope soaked in salt water. They'd tighten it around my neck then release it when I was about to suffocate, repeating this over a dozen times. I was paralyzed by the feeling of approaching death, forced to obey her. "That's my fault, Rose's fault. Please forgive." Wanted. Madame Scarlet grasped my chin, lifting it up, satisfied as she looked at my tear-stained face. "Rose, remember, being born in the Jade House is your fate. You cannot defy heaven's will." I opened my mouth to plead, but the sharp pain on my neck was suddenly replaced by warmth. Opening my eyes, I saw Alex applying medicine to me. Hot tears fell on his hand. Alex paused, sighing. "I heard Princess Victoria is arrogant and fierce. Why does she cry so often?" I felt wronged, pulling his sleeve to wipe my tears. "I already said rumors can't be trusted. You claim you're dying soon. Looking at this pitiful state, I worry you'll die before your royal father." His hands suddenly stopped at my neck. I asked alertly, "You want to strangle me?" "How could I?" Alex said gently. "I just feel the princess truly knows how to speak." The story continues on Channel A Good Stories. The next day, Alex came bringing a box full of gold jewelry. Knowing the princess likes these, I specially had Ethan retrieve them from storage. Does the princess find them satisfactory? My eyes seemed glued to that glittering pile of gold. After a long while, I reluctantly lit Alex and nodded vigorously, satisfied. Alex applied more ointment for me without any hesitation, asking, "Just measuring for a necklace, why such severe injury?" I made up a story. "Luna is naturally strong, able to lift a whole ox. She often performs tricks for me." A few days later, Alex called the butler over and ordered Luna and Stella to be moved out of the courtyard to clean the latrines. In their place, 2 others would serve me. One named Lily, responsible for my daily needs, and another named Emma, responsible for my safety. I noticed Emma's familiar features and asked, "Are you related to Ethan?" Emma blushed shyly. "Ethan is my brother. One sibling cold when meeting me, the other so timid." Finding it amusing, I teased Emma a few sentences before seeing Ethan enter with his sword, coldly saying, "Princess, His Highness requests your presence in the study." Finding him boring, I walked past him muttering, "Not as cute as his sister." Dusk had risen as I walked along the long, winding corridor to the study door. Night had fallen completely. 2 guards in iron armor stood before the door. The scent of blood wafted through the slightly open door. I had a bad premonition. Pushing open the door and entering, seeing Luna, that feeling peaked. She knew I wasn't the real Princess Victoria and had always looked down on me. Meeting me, the corners of her eyes would lift in disdain. Now she lay on her back on the ground, eyes wide open, a bloody hole in her chest as if already dead. I trembled, unconsciously searching for Alex's figure, his wheelchair hidden in the room's shadows, with only 2 dim lamps flickering. His fair hand extended, one holding a blood-covered sword, the other using a cloth to wipe the blood from the blade. The wheelchair rolled across the floor as he came under the lamplight, looking up at me with a lazy smile. "Princess, you've arrived." I was torn between turning to run or kneeling to confess the truth. Just then, he threw the sword down before me. I tremblingly picked it up. "You want me to kill myself?" Hearing this, Alex looked surprised. "Why would the princess think that?" Then Luna, "Oh? I called the princess here because of her." Alex gently lifted her chin. "She snuck into my study, seemingly wanting to steal something. When I discovered her, I killed her with my sword." Thinking back to how she had previously, under the pretense of measuring for a necklace, injured the princess's precious body. "Bye-bye, Marcus," I said dumbly. Marcus knows I won't live long but still feels uneasy, so he bribed Luna to try making her accidentally kill the princess and frame me. Failing that, he had Luna sneak into my study to steal my token and carry out the next step. Fortunately, I discovered it in time, avoiding great disaster. After Alex slowly finished speaking, he looked up at me with a smile. "Princess, does my reasoning sound logical?" "Completely illogical." Though I thought this inwardly, outwardly I kept nodding. "Logical, with evidence very convincing." Alex seemed very satisfied with my agreement, calling the guards outside to drag Luna's body away for burning and clean up the blood on the floor. I stood aside, silent as a chicken, not daring to speak. Yet Alex wouldn't let me go. "Does the princess think I'm too cruel?" "How could that be?" I said dryly. "Luna was already bribed by the 10th prince. If we didn't kill her, the ones dead would be you and your highness. Now that I'm your wife, we share honor and disgrace, life and death together. The weight is clear." Actually, I wasn't afraid of Luna's death. Previously in the Jade House, I'd seen many scenes of courtesans tortured to death. I just suddenly felt afraid. If Alex knew I wasn't the real Princess Victoria, but someone from the Jade House, what would he do? Would he kill me like he killed Luna? While thinking, I saw Alex take a brocade box from under the table. Opening it revealed an elegant jade bracelet. He took it out, smiling gently at me. "Since Luna has betrayed us, the promised bracelet naturally can't be completed. Fortunately, during the days I applied medicine for the princess, I measured the size and had this bracelet made." "Princess, try it on." Alex called me over. I extended my hand to take it, but he wouldn't let go. "Princess, lower your head so I can help you." The bracelet was made from the finest purple jade, adorned with translucent, magnificent pearl tassels perfectly fitting. I lowered my head, feeling Alex's gentle movements. My heart felt both sore and warm. He helped me put on the bracelet, gazed at my face, then suddenly kissed me. The warmth spread, the light mint scent from his breath creating a sweet feeling that radiated from my heart. I was stunned, then heard him say somewhat apologetically, "Sorry, I couldn't control myself. I've been presumptuous with the princess." It's fine. I quickly came to my senses, stating practical needs. "Actually, you could be more presumptuous." He looked at me for a moment, then suddenly curled his lips. In that instant, his eyes lit up brilliantly. "Then there's no need." One rainy autumn night I hugged my blanket and knocked on Alex's door, looking at him pitifully. "It's cold, I'm weak, and I often have nightmares at night. My heart is full of fear, and I could only think of my lord." Alex took a deep breath and said concisely, "Alex, I want to sleep with you." He stared at me intently. For a moment, I thought I saw something dark flash in his eyes before quickly disappearing. "Princess, Come up. From then on, Alex and I shared a bed. He would kiss and caress me tenderly but never went further. One night, I couldn't bear it anymore. Sitting up, I tried to pull his clothes, but he held my hand and shook his head. I'm dying soon. I don't want to delay the princess. Under the dim lamplight, he lay on the bed, black hair spread out, face pale, eyes reflecting flickering light, looking beautiful yet fragile. I suddenly remembered during the day when Alex and I strolled by the lotus pond. He suddenly made a clumsy excuse to send me away. When I secretly returned, I saw him taking a blood-stained handkerchief from his mouth, staring dazedly at the blooming lotus pond. After a while, Alex sighed softly, remembering this. Princess, why are you crying again? Alex brushed my hair behind my ear, helplessly saying, the rumors aren't true. How can the princess be called arrogant like this? Through my tears, I couldn't see his expression clearly, only feeling warm arms and rapid heartbeat by my ear. Alex, stop crying. I grabbed his clothes and asked, will you really die? Alex didn't answer, just turned his head and said softly, sleep. While in the Jade House, I had a close friend named Sandy. She was 8 years older than me. When I was just learning the arts, she was already entertaining clients. I was young then and sometimes missed my mother. Sandy told me, your mother was a beauty, that's why she could serve such a noble. Unfortunately, after giving birth to you, I secretly visited and saw her entire body bruised without a single unmarked spot. Later, Sandy died too. She died wearing a newly made pink dress embroidered with lilies. She had promised to wear it and take me to see the Lantern Festival. That day, Master Huang was in a bad mood. Sandy bumped into him and was bitten to death by 2 dogs. In the end, Master Huang compensated Madame with a box of gold. Sandy's body was wrapped hastily and thrown into the mass grave. I didn't even get to see her one last time. And now the one leaving me was Alex. So I began searching, desperately trying to find a divine physician to cure Alex. I invited every doctor in the capital, but the diagnosis all said Alex had been severely injured from martial arts practice before, then lost his legs with reversed meridians leading to chronic illness. Though they'd reconnected bones and used the best medicine, he had less than half a year left to live. After the doctor left, I sat there dejectedly, trying to think what to do next. Alex remained very calm, even in the mood to joke. On our wedding day, the princess said she liked healthy men. With me like this, we can only make do. If I die first, I'll find the princess someone suitable before I go. I said angrily and deliberately, fine, I think Ethan's not bad. After you die, I'll marry him. Ethan immediately knelt down. This subordinate is lowly and unworthy of the princess. Please take back these words, princess. Then you can die with the 9th prince. Both angry and sad, I bit my lip to leave, but after just one step was pulled into Alex's arms. He hugged me from behind, chin resting on my shoulder, sighing softly. It's my fault. I shouldn't have made the princess angry. I asked painfully. I've already been sent from Eldoria for the political marriage as your wife. Do you think after you die, I can peacefully remarry? Princess. I turned my head angrily. Don't I have a name? My name is Rose. You clearly know this, yet still call me princess. What exactly do you mean? Alex didn't answer. He silently kissed me forcefully. This kiss was different from the previous gentle restraint, carrying fierce invasion and determination. I didn't feel insulted, rather, I found some fragile comfort in the pain. Rose. His voice was gentle and coaxing. It's my fault. Don't be angry anymore, all right? I was easily appeased. Hearing him call my name, I immediately stopped being angry. But wanting to negotiate while I had the chance, I deliberately kept a stern face. Then you must agree to one request. What request? Tonight, consummate with me. As soon as I finished speaking, before Alex could react, Ethan kneeling beside us suddenly stood and ran off. I stared after him in confusion. Alex remained calm. Don't worry, Ethan's just embarrassed. Alex didn't answer me. I took it as his agreement. That night, I brought a bottle of wine to knock on his door. This was something I'd learned in the Jade House. The sisters said the first time experiencing such things inevitably brings nervousness. To avoid pain, one could drink until tipsy. I wasn't afraid, I mainly worried Alex would be scared. Previously in the Jade House, Madame had taught me much experience. I'd read through almost all the erotic art books circulating in the streets, though I'd never had practical experience. Moreover, though Alex had lost his legs, he was truly handsome. That night I wore thin clothes and entered. Seeing him reminded me of that night, my ears burning. The hot feeling spread from heart to fingertips. Alex drank 2 cups of wine, propping his chin as he sat on the couch opposite me, smiling. Rose. The call, steeped in alcohol, carried a hoarse, low quality that made the restless thoughts in my heart even more intense. I blinked, drank the last cup of wine, then staggered over to him. My lord. I began speaking in the half-literary, half-vernacular style Madame had taught me. She said men often liked talented women but didn't want them too talented, best if that talent was all used for them. Alex was indeed different. He didn't buy into this at all, just looking at me helplessly. Just be direct. I pulled open my clothes to reveal the exquisitely tattooed lotus before him. Alex, I'm showing you this treasure. His gaze lingered, immediately becoming deep. Then we naturally lay down together. Though I was already drunk and hazy, I still remembered Alex's injuries, my movements careful. Before long, I was exhausted and drenched in sweat. He tightly grasped my wildly moving hand. Rose. I panted in response. You really won't regret this. Alex stared intently into my eyes, the depths of his gaze flickering with complexity. Some things, once they happen, can't be undone. At this point you're saying such things. Can't you see I'm already exhausted and sweating? Why? I completely lost patience, lowering my head to bite hard on his shoulder in frustration. Either try harder or shut up. Outside the window, rain began to fall, the weather growing even colder. My nose was full of beads of sweat. Finally, Alex lifted himself to kiss my eyes apologetically. It's my fault. I looked at his flushed face, my mind left with only one thought. What I'd said before the 10th and 2nd princes that day wasn't entirely a lie. Some things, once they happen the first time, become much more natural afterward. One morning, Alex got up to go to the study to handle affairs. I slept in until late. Upon waking, it was nearly noon. Lily brought me a newly tailored pink dress. I hugged my waist and jumped out of bed, looking in the bronze mirror for a while before asking her, "Has my waist gotten slimmer? His Highness instructed this servant that you've been working hard lately and need nutritious food, so I had the kitchen make lotus seed and longan soup. You don't need a slim waist to be beautiful." I waved my hand, thinking for a moment before deciding to impart some experience. A woman's appearance is most important. If you're not beautiful enough, a man's love for you will eventually change. So maintaining your figure and looks is essential. Lily listened in confusion. Really? I was about to nod when Alex's familiar voice suddenly rang out behind me. Of course not. Turning around, I saw Alex sitting in his wheelchair, lips slightly curved but eyes unsmiling. Lily and Ethan quickly withdrew. I walked up to Alex and asked, "You finished work so quickly?" He didn't answer, pulling me to sit on his lap, eyes gazing deeply at me. "Rose, do you think I love you for your appearance?" I nodded, then shook my head. "If my looks were ruined, would you still love me?" Alex said without hesitation. "Of course. You're my wife." My heart grew even more sour. "Then if I wasn't a princess, couldn't come for the political marriage to become your wife, would you still love me?" Just after asking, without waiting for Alex's answer, I felt I was being unreasonable. Biting my lip, I said, "Never mind, you don't need to answer." I turned my head away, not wanting Alex to see me like this. He sighed, turning my face back to look at me intently. "Even if you weren't a princess and couldn't marry here, if I knew of your existence, I would still find a way to marry you. The rumored Princess Victoria has an arrogant temperament. I have no interest in the rumored princess. I only know the vibrant person sitting before me, the one I love and want to live and die with, is you." Rare sunlight shone into his deep eyes like a clear lake. I suddenly felt hazy. This was something I'd never heard before. Madame had said, "Rose, the only thing valuable about you is your beauty." Princess Victoria had said, "Without a face like mine, you'd only deserve to wither in a man's bed." So even though I liked Alex, I only dared enjoy a moment of joy, not daring to think of the future. But now, Alex lifted my face and kissed my eyes. "Rose, you have many things more precious than beauty. That night I already asked, giving you a chance to regret." He removed my complex winter dress layer by layer. "But now that you've chosen, there's no turning back." After I'd tidied my clothes and pushed Alex outside, I happened to see Lily standing at the corner of Connor talking with Ethan. "Sister, don't listen to the princess's nonsense," Ethan said. "I like you not because you're beautiful. So brother thinks I'm not beautiful. No, you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen." I cleared my throat. Ethan turned and saw me, immediately kneeling. This subordinate misspoke, not intending to offend the princess. I'm magnanimous and won't blame you, I said generously. Alex said calmly, the princess is tolerant and won't blame you, but you must remember not to offend her. Yes! I have important matters to discuss with you. Follow me. Alex led Ethan away. I stood there watching Lily's blushing face and asked curiously, when did you and Ethan start? Half a month ago, she said shyly. Ethan asked Emma to give me a gold hairpin to confess his feelings. I thought about it and felt he was friendly, though quiet, very gentle, so I agreed. Gentle, friendly, talking about Ethan. Indeed, love blinds people. I stroked Lily's hair. In that case, when you and Ethan marry, I'll give you a dowry gift. Lily blushed. Thank you. She turned to the kitchen to prepare breakfast. A few days later, I didn't see Ethan anywhere. Alex said he had some assets in southeastern Thalassa and planned to have Ethan handle them and bring them back for me to manage. Before I die, I'll arrange everything so Ethan can take you out of the city. Ships and carriages are prepared to take you safely to the southeastern town. The assets are enough for you to live comfortably for life. He said this one late night. I lay beside him, breathing still unsteady. Hearing this, I suddenly sat up, grinding my teeth and grabbing his hand. Say that again. Alex took a slight breath but continued. Rose, I must think of your future. Then make your grave bigger. I glared at him. Living together in life, sharing a grave in death, didn't you say that couldn't be denied? Alex didn't object, taking my hand and kissing it lightly. I'll listen to you. I thought there wasn't another couple in this world like Alex and me, one an imposter, one dying. Every time after intimacy, we discussed life and death. I still didn't give up, desperately searching everywhere for divine physicians, expanding the search throughout Thalassa. But before finding a divine physician, news that Alex had less than half a year to live had spread throughout the capital. That day, Emma returned from outside and told me a famous divine physician, who'd been in seclusion for years, had suddenly appeared in the capital, practicing in an alley in the West District. Because of his rule against house calls, I found Alex and asked him to go to the West District with me. At first Alex disagreed. I pretended to cry before him. He helplessly shook his head and put down his brush. All right then, consider it a stroll. We haven't been out in a while. Only when we went out did I notice the atmosphere in the capital had become somewhat tense. Getting off at the district gate, I pushed Alex through 2 streets and encountered 3 groups of Imperial Guards patrolling. Of the 3 groups, only one small team came to greet Alex. Greetings to the 9th Prince and 9th Princess. Alex said lazily. We're outside the palace now, no need for such formality. Hearing this, the man's expression grew more serious as he shook his head. Propriety cannot be abandoned, especially since the 9th Prince showed me great kindness. Old matters need not be mentioned again. Alex smiled lightly. Now I'm disabled. It's I who've implicated you all. The man looked at Alex as if wanting to speak but stopped. Alex turned to me. Madam, let's go. I pushed him a few steps before asking quietly, who was that? His name is Blake Forrest, currently a captain of the Imperial Guard. Alex said, pausing slightly. He used to be my lieutenant, followed me to establish many military achievements. But after I was injured and lost military power, I pursed my lips. There's one more thing. What? You called me madam. Very nice, you could call me that more often. Not appropriate. Just then, I pushed him to a quiet corner of the street. The guards following stayed several steps back. Alex glanced around, then beckoned to me. I quickly bent down. He kissed my ear lightly through my fur cloak, then laughed softly. Madam has commanded, how dare I disobey? Otherwise. He paused meaningfully. Otherwise what? Wipe your mouth? I said startled. I stood straight and quickly wiped my mouth with my sleeve, looking at Alex's bright smile before realizing he was teasing me again. Alex. I hit his shoulder lightly in frustration, but worried about his health, I didn't use force. Alex caught my hand and gently coaxed, my fault. No more joking. Let's go. When I pushed Alex to Divine Physician Meng's clinic, I discovered 2 rows of Imperial Guards outside. The atmosphere in the courtyard was serious. Seeing us, the guards immediately drew their swords to block us. The armored troops behind immediately rushed forward to protect Alex and me. How bold! How dare you block the 9th Prince and 9th Princess? Hearing the commotion, those inside turned around. Seeing Alex and me, they raised their eyebrows in surprise. I heard ninth brother doesn't have long to live. Why aren't you recuperating at home instead of coming out? Alex didn't look at him, just took out a handkerchief to help me straighten my sleeve cuffs, his voice warm. Madam, be careful of the cold. Marcus was angered by this attitude. He stepped forward, bent down to look at Alex, and laughed coldly. Ninth brother came to find divine physician Meng. Are you still hoping to be cured? Let me tell you, stop dreaming. You should have died 2 years ago. Living 2 more years is already heaven's blessing. I glared at him angrily. Marcus noticed my gaze and looked up at me. The princess is beautiful. Becoming a widow would truly be a pity. If you beg me, I could request an imperial edict from Father Emperor, allowing you to enter my mansion as a concubine. Alex suddenly spoke up. 10th brother suddenly left the palace today, bringing imperial guards to visit divine physician Meng, for what matter? Marcus's expression changed. I heard the junior consort is seriously ill and has lost imperial favor. 10th brother being so filial should show more concern for your mother consort. Alex's lips smiled, but his voice was extremely cold. I'd noticed before, in front of Marcus and second Prince Vincent, Alex was always cold. This was the first time I'd seen him angry, and it was because Marcus mentioned me. So I gently placed my hand on Alex's shoulder and looked up at Marcus with a smile. 10th brother, the jade hairpin binding your hair is very beautiful. Marcus laughed coldly. Does the princess like it? I know, it's not that I like it. It's that you like it. I said with a bright smile, continuing. This was the gift you gave me and the 9th prince at our wedding. I was very touched but didn't want you to part with something precious, so I found an opportunity to return it to you. Of course, I specially requested it be resized to fit you. I heard 10th brother wears this hairpin every day, you must be very satisfied, right? Marcus's face immediately darkened. He angrily pulled out the jade hairpin and smashed it on the ground, then led the imperial guards away. I continued, calling after him, hair disheveled, appearance unkempt, Father Emperor hates those who don't follow propriety most. 10th brother, remember to tidy up before entering the palace. He stopped, turned back, his eyes fierce as he looked at me. You're a princess of Eldoria, yet speak such vulgar words, truly as wanton as a jade house woman. If the real Princess Victoria heard this, she'd probably die of anger. Unfortunately, I was originally a jade house woman, so I felt no disturbance inside. I even cheerfully smiled at Marcus. 10th brother brought this on himself. I merely reminded you, and that becomes wanton and improper. 10th brother truly is lenient with yourself while strict with others. Finally, Marcus left with a completely black face. I pushed Alex to see divine physician Meng. He carefully felt the pulse, finally looking at us with a serious expression. Difficult illness, hard to cure. I'll prescribe medicine, take 7 doses home and try them first. Previous physicians hadn't prescribed anything. Hope flared in my heart. I quickly paid and had Emma get the medicine. Emma walked a few steps, then turned back to look at me. Princess, could you come with me? This subordinate doesn't know medicine or letters well and fears getting it wrong. Worried, I looked at Alex. He smiled. Madam, go ahead. With the armored troops guarding here, nothing will happen. The story continues on Channel A, Good Stories. At winter solstice, heavy snow fell in the capital. Emma brought back news. That day after the 10th prince left the clinic, he angrily went to smash the shop that had sold him the jade hairpin, but that shop was part of noble consort Liz Dari. Le Fay currently had imperial favor. The junior consort was seriously ill with damaged appearance. Someone reported the 10th prince's crimes. The emperor was furious in court, even the second prince of the same faction was implicated. When she reported this, I was coaxing Alex to take his medicine. Too bitter, I said seriously. Be good and finish it, I'll kiss you once. He bargained, twice. I'll add a bonus 3 kisses. Alex choked, held the medicine bowl and drank it all, then let me kiss his lips 3 times. He smiled. In the end, are you rewarding me or yourself? I coughed lightly, feeling guilty, and changed the subject. Ethan did really well. I'd only wanted revenge on Marcus. I didn't expect him to sell the jade hairpin at a shop belonging to noble consort, Liz's mother's family, nor that Vincent would be implicated. Such an unexpected joy. Alex raised an eyebrow. You really hate Vincent? Of course. I nodded seriously. I'm not stupid. That day in the palace, Vincent and Marcus mocked together. Marcus doesn't seem very smart, his troublemaking was probably Vincent's idea. Then I moved closer to him, eyes bright smart or not. Alex lifted my face. gazed for a moment, then kissed me, much smarter than Vincent. This kiss lasted a very long time. When we separated, both panted. I looked back to see Emma had vanished very nimbly. After dinner, the snow fell heavier. In the courtyard, snow was already thick. Plum branches covered in frost and snow bloomed even more brilliantly. I dressed Alex warmly, then pushed him to the courtyard to admire the flowers. Moonlight shone quietly down. In the courtyard, only the sound of falling snow could be heard. I turned my head, walking toward the plum tree while talking to Alex. Let's break off 2 plum branches to take back. Disaster struck suddenly. An arrow flew straight at my chest. I stared in fear at the arrow getting closer and closer. Suddenly a strong force pulled my hand, yanking me aside. The arrow grazed past my hand and embedded in the snow. I fell into warm arms. Alex stood in the snow holding me tightly, his bright eyes looking at me full of emotion I didn't understand. Alex. Rose, go inside. Just as Alex finished speaking, the courtyard gate was kicked open. A group of black-clad assassins rushed in, fighting with the armored troops. I looked over in panic and saw Stella wielding a sword charging over, but was blocked by Alex. Ninth Prince. Her voice was hoarse, sounding somewhat terrifying. Do you know who you're protecting? My heart pounded, but before she could finish, Alex had already charged forward. The blade in his hand cut across her throat. Fresh red blood sprayed out, splattering on Alex's face. Alex turned back to look at me. The red blood on his pale skin. Eyes like stars but terrifyingly sharp, strangely beautiful. Kill them all, he coldly ordered the armored troops. Leave none alive. Having said that, he walked step by step through the blood-stained snow toward me. I was afraid but refused to retreat, just stubbornly glaring at him. Alex, you lied to me. You hid things from me. You know how afraid I've been of you dying. You didn't. Before I could finish, I was already in tears. Alex's legs were fine, he could walk. The rumors about his short life were mostly lies too. I should have been happy, but thinking of my worry and fear. Searching everywhere for doctors throughout the city without result these past 2 months, I just felt utterly wronged. In the courtyard, the sounds of fighting gradually died down. The assassins were no match for the armored troops. Bodies lay everywhere. The armored troops efficiently cleaned up the scene. Soon the courtyard was quiet again, only the smell of blood in the wind. Alex walked toward me again. I turned to run but was caught into arms and carried up. Alex, let me go. I struggled in his arms. Alex held me tighter. Previously he'd always appeared weak before me. I hadn't expected his arms to be so strong. Alex strode into the house, kicked the door closed, threw me on the couch, then pressed down on me. He braced his hands on either side of me, gazing intently. He paused. I'm sorry. His voice was hoarse. Rose, it's my fault. I'd actually started to feel wronged, but when he apologized, I felt even more aggrieved and empty-headed. When I came to my senses, I'd already grabbed Alex's collar, sat up, and bitten hard on his chin. Alex grunted softly. Blood flowed, but he wasn't angry, just held my waist tightly. You saw me worrying and fearing all day that you'd die, dragging Lily everywhere looking for medicine. I asked tremblingly. Did you secretly laugh at how foolish I was? When I said live together, die together, were you inwardly mocking me for being stupid? I didn't. Alex said urgently. This was the first time I'd seen such a flustered expression on his normally calm face. Rose, initially I didn't tell you because Luna and Stella were both by your side. After I sent them to the outer courtyard, I planned to find an opportunity to confess. But Vincent wanted to get something from me, so he often sent people outside the mansion. I didn't dare take risks. He looked into my eyes. That day Luna snuck into my study and found the Southeastern military deployment map. I was confused. How did she know about the secret room in your study? Alex was silent, just looking at me. I suddenly understood she'd been watching me. Previously, I'd tried to seduce Alex and burst into his study. He teased me a few sentences. Seeing my eyes redden, to comfort me, he opened the secret room and took out a beautiful jade bottle as a gift. I thus easily learned where the secret room was. But unexpectedly, Luna, who followed, also learned this top secret. After Luna died, I lied that she'd suddenly fallen ill and passed away. But Stella was her accomplice and knew the real cause. So she joined with Vincent, cooperating to bring in assassins today. I took a deep breath, suddenly remembering my true identity. Then you also know my real purpose in coming for the political marriage. Alex smiled faintly. I know your father, the Emperor, won't give up. He wants to collect intelligence from me, then attack the Lhasa to reclaim the lost cities. He's still called the Eldorian Emperor. Your father. Perhaps he didn't know my true identity yet. I breathed a sigh of relief, suddenly feeling I had no right to blame Alex. After all, I still hadn't told him I wasn't the real Princess Victoria. I thought for a long moment, then suddenly realized something. Why was there a southeastern military deployment map in your study's secret room? After speaking, the air in the room suddenly froze. I shrank back. Did I discover some secret? Do you want to kill me to silence me? Alex laughed helplessly. You and I want to live and die together. If I kill you, what would I do? After a moment, he spoke again. This plan I've schemed for 3 years, for that position. The rumors aren't wrong. I truly do have ambitions for the throne. I was surprised but not overly so. After all, if I were in Alex's position, with the Emperor disliking me and brothers mocking me, I'd think like Alex too. He sighed softly, lowering his head to rest against my shoulder, speaking quietly. I'm not his son, but the son of the late eldest princess. He had dark intentions toward my aunt and schemed to kill my father. When my mother died, he wanted to kill me once more. His voice carried some sadness. Light shone into his eyes, revealing coldness and fragility rarely seen. I was stunned, suddenly understanding with a chill. Your legs, they did it on purpose. Alex nodded slightly. I didn't completely lie to you. Previously I was ambushed on the battlefield, fell from my horse, and severed all the meridians in my legs. It was Ethan who found divine physician Meng. He made medicine, had me soak daily, then reconnected the meridians bit by bit. Half a year later I could walk again. He spoke calmly like flowing clouds in water, but I heard countless dangers within. I reached out to hug his waist tightly. Rose, hiding from you was my fault. You can scold me, hit me, be angry, anything. Just don't leave me. Don't stop liking me, alright? His voice grew increasingly bitter. Outside, wind and snow grew colder. Snow hit the windows, wind swept through trees, breaking branches. Inside, the copper brazier burned charcoal, warmth spreading gradually, creating a hazy winter atmosphere. I sniffled, feeling my heart soften as I hugged him tightly. Then you must promise, from now on, no lying to me, no hiding anything from me. Smoke rose from the incense burner, sweet fragrance spreading. One more thing. Alex looked at me in surprise. What? I slowly removed his wet cloak, then his black brocade robe and jade belt. You've always lied to me. Every time I'm exhausted to death. Marks on his shoulder. From now on, it's your turn. Alex laughed, kissing my nose, eyes brightening. Yes, from now on I'll serve my lady. Later, Alex told me that divine physician Meng was his father's old friend. His return to the capital this time was at Alex's invitation. Illness. Alex narrowed his eyes, smiling lightly. Not illness, poison. So, it was poison. Poison. How did Alex know? He seemed to see through my doubts, smiling. Rose is so innocent and adorable. Of course, because I was the one who poisoned her. I shrank back, feeling his gentle smile somehow murderous. Thinking for a moment, I suddenly understood several things. So the previous physician's diagnoses were all false. Alex held me on his lap, using divine physician Meng's medicine. Otherwise, how could we fool the imperial physicians from the palace? That day I took you to see divine physician Meng and met Marcus. Later he angrily smashed the jewelry shop belonging to noble consort Li's mother, making the emperor angry and scolding him and Vincent. Was that all your arrangement too? Even if you hadn't provoked Marcus, I would have had Emma find another way. Alex smiled and kissed my lips. My lady is much smarter than I thought. I was stunned, then realized he was calling me stupid. Alex, you're too much. You sleep alone tonight, I said, trying to stand up from his lap, but he pulled me back, placed me on the bed, and lowered the curtains. While untying my hands, he slowly said, If I sleep alone tonight, then during the day you must compensate me. Since discovering his legs weren't disabled, our enthusiasm for such matters had reversed, especially when just the two of us were alone together. I kicked and struggled. Didn't you say you had a disability and couldn't move easily? He paid no attention, still deliberately holding my ankle. I'm just lying to you. 7 days later, as New Year's approached, Ethan finally returned. Hearing the news, Lily was the first to rush outside. When I pushed Alex's wheelchair to the courtyard, the two were already embracing. Alex sighed in relief. Than's grown up, can't hold back anymore. Speaking as if Ethan was about to get married. Hearing his voice, The two quickly separated. Ethan knelt down to pay respects, embarrassedly calling out, "Ninth Prince." Alex glanced at him indifferently. "If you have matters, come to the study." Having said that, he waved at the person in his arms, speaking tenderly for a while. Not until dusk did Ethan go find Lily. Alex and I had dinner in the front hall. As he ladled soup for me, suddenly there came the piercing sound of an announcement from outside. An imperial edict had arrived. The emperor unexpectedly decreed that we enter the palace for the New Year's Eve banquet 3 days later. So sudden. Though he'd automatically ignored Alex's presence at previous banquets. About to die, could there be some conspiracy? In the middle of the night, unable to sleep, I tried to guess the emperor's intentions. Did he want to kill him? Or make things difficult for us? Would he poison the food at the banquet? While my husband is dying, will you kill him? I rambled on until Alex lost patience, turned over and pressed me down, covering my eyes before lowering to kiss me. Dissatisfied, I tried to dodge. "What? I'm seriously analyzing the situation to help you." "Thank you, my lady." Alex smiled, his fingers gently gliding past. "Just no need to worry. I'll handle everything." At that time, I didn't fully understand the meaning of these words. I only remembered in the darkness, candlelight flickering sideways, his expression hidden in shadows looking full of mysterious beauty. On New Year's Eve, I wore newly tailored purple clothes from a few days ago. With a thick white fox fur cloak, my hair was adorned with many magnificent ornaments. Alex sat beside me watching, commenting, "Too magnificent." I glared at him angrily. He smiled, adding, "But magnificently beautiful." Upon entering the palace and just sitting down, I already sensed something unusual in the atmosphere. Especially Marcus and Vincent sitting opposite, their eyes full of malice as they looked at Alex and me. The doubts in my heart were quickly answered. After 3 rounds of wine, Marcus suddenly stood up, advancing into the great hall to bow toward the emperor from afar. "Father Emperor, your son has matters to report. The Eldorian envoy has come to pay respects, and there's someone who wants to see Princess Victoria." Eldorian envoy. Thinking of Luna and Stella's deaths, my heart suddenly filled with unease. Alex's hand grasped mine under the table. I turned to look, he shook his head slightly. "Don't be afraid." Still that calm everyday voice, I felt somewhat reassured. However, I hadn't expected the Eldorian envoy to be the real Princess Victoria herself. It was Princess Victoria. She wore a bright red princess costume, hair styled high with complex white jade crown, eyes 8 parts similar to mine sweeping past with clear resentment radiating obviously. Everyone in the palace wasn't blind, they saw the resemblance between Victoria and me. Suspicious gazes shifted between us. In an instant, my whole body turned cold. I didn't dare look at Alex's eyes, only silently withdrawing my hand from his bit by bit. Victoria knelt in the middle of the hall, tears welling as she began listing my crimes one by one. Her real name is Rose Sterling, just a Jade House woman who somewhat resembles me. On the journey for the political marriage, she and her accomplices knocked me unconscious, then switched places. She even went so far as to tattoo a lotus on her chest identical to mine to impersonate me and marry into Thalassa's imperial palace. I was attacked by her accomplices before they tried to poison me. The physician treated me for several months before I recovered, which is why I only arrived in Thalassa today to expose her true identity. She turned to look at me, speaking each word clearly. "You were born in a pleasure house, that lowly status is your fate. Why harbor delusions?" A teardrop sparkled at the corner of her eye, looking both pitiful and strong. I looked at her, remembering how she disdainfully wanted to use a knife to cut my face, arrogantly had someone tattoo the lotus on my chest, and said with disgust, "How does lowly scum like you deserve to share my face?" But now I'd become the ambitious imposter, while she was the beautiful, strong princess. Vincent across from us looked at me with contempt. "Unexpectedly, you played switched identities like this before. Your words and deeds show no shame. Turns out you're a Jade House woman craving wealth and glory." The white fox fur cloak, purple dress embroidered with tea flowers, the jewelry on my head, in an instant all became heavy shackles imprisoning me in that crime, unable to escape. Hemph. I slowly raised my head, mockingly looking at Vincent. "So what? Why can the 2nd prince say it, the 10th prince say it, but I alone cannot? Do the same things you do and I become shameless. Then what are you? The dignified imperial family is also as shameless as me." Vincent's expression turned ugly. The emperor sitting high above finally slowly opened his mouth. "Imperial guards, drag her down and throw her in the imperial prison to await judgment. Who dares? Alex's familiar voice rang out. I couldn't help glancing over, just in time to see him holding a wine cup, cold eyes sweeping over the imperial guards before us. The emperor expressionlessly said, Ninth son, do you dare defy my edict? Do you want to rebel? I shook my head at Alex. Don't worry about me, ninth prince. He was a good person, I'd always been the one deceiving him. What I had wasn't meant to be mine. What doesn't belong to me must eventually be returned. I tried to keep my voice calm, at least preserving some final dignity, but Vincent's mocking voice still rang beside us. I heard ninth brother doesn't have long to live. Unexpectedly, the little time remaining is wasted on such lowly scum, truly a pity. Thalassa's imperial prison was better than I'd imagined. Walking along the dark corridor to the very end, the imperial guards opened the large cell door and pushed me hard inside. I stumbled and fell onto the straw, watching the heavy iron door close before me. The prison was cold. Fortunately, I still wore the thick fox fur cloak. Curling up inside it wasn't too cold. Only now in the quiet could I have time to think. Initially hearing the Eldorian envoy had come, I thought it was because Luna and Stella's deaths had been discovered. I hadn't expected it to be Princess Victoria herself. Why did Victoria come here with the Eldorian envoy? If she'd been willing to marry from the start, I wouldn't have been bought from the Jade House. And looking at Vincent and Marcus's behavior, they'd clearly been in collusion with Princess Victoria for a long time. They'd just staged a play. Such an attack just to lock me in prison had almost no impact on Alex. What exactly did they want? With my intelligence, I could only think this far and no further. Plus, at the banquet I'd drunk several cups of wine. Now the drunkenness rose. I curled up in the fox fur cloak, not knowing when I fell asleep. I don't know how long passed before I was awakened by distant screams. Groggily raising my head, looking through the high window, I only saw thick falling snow and white sky. I huddled in the corner, pulling out a sharp hairpin from my hair and gripping it tightly, feeling somewhat safer. Just then, the prison's large door creaked open. 2 groans sounded, then footsteps approached. I gripped the hairpin tightly, eyes fixed on the cell door. When a familiar figure walked through the light and shadow to stand before me, the hairpin fell onto the straw. Tears also poured out. Alex stood outside, smiling. The sword in his hand seemed steeped in blood, glowing red. His clothes were disheveled, face bloodstained, breathing heavily, but just standing there looking at me, even brighter than light. Rose, he said gently, don't be afraid, I'll handle everything. Last time he said this was 3 days ago. Only today did I understand what promise this sentence contained. Alex took the blood-stained key to open the cell door. I stood up and rushed to hug him, but touched only blood. My heart sank as I difficultly spoke. Alex, you're covered in blood. He placed his chin on my shoulder, released the sword, and carefully embraced me. Don't be afraid, it's Marcus's blood, Vincent's and his. Rose, we're going home first. Before leaving, I didn't forget to pick up the gold hairpin that had fallen on the straw. When we returned home safely, I learned that to rescue me from prison, Alex had accelerated his comprehensive plan. A month early inevitably had oversights. He was stabbed twice by Vincent's resistance, but still struggled to reach the prison to get me. Fortunately, nothing vital was hit. The armored troops stationed in the southeast had been disguised as merchants and brought into the capital by Ethan in groups before New Year's. They coordinated with Blake Forrest inside the palace to quickly occupy the most important positions in Thalassa's imperial palace. Before dying, he cursed me as a traitorous minister and rebellious son, saying my throne wasn't legitimate. The court officials wouldn't submit. Alex leaned against my shoulder, laughing. But he doesn't know half the military generals in court have already submitted to me. And the civil officials, hearing I want to attack Eldoria's imperial palace and expand Thalassa's territory, won't object. That position, only the capable deserve it, he never understood. At this moment his eyes sparkled strangely beautiful. I carefully applied medicine to his wounds, silent for a moment before softly saying, Alex, you should abandon me. He looked at me, eyes deep, opening his mouth. Reason? I lied to you. Thinking of the events at the New Year's Eve banquet, my heart still ached. Alex, I'm not Princess Victoria, just a Jade House woman. You should marry someone worthy of your current status. Status. He was silent for a moment, then suddenly laughed coldly. Tell me, what am I now? I keenly sensed danger in his words but still resolutely said, "You're about to be emperor." Oh. Before I could finish, Alex pressed forward to kiss me. This kiss used some force, carrying deliberate malice. I instinctively wanted to avoid it but was held at the back of my neck, pressed even closer. We were already familiar with each other. Alex understood me well, targeting weak points, kissing until my fingertips went soft. Only when the smell of blood filled I come to my senses, hurriedly touching his back. "Your wound. You can't use force." Alex held my hand, eyes gazing intently at me. "I already gave you a chance to regret, Rose, like you've already chosen me. Unless dead, I cannot let you go." I was stunned. Everything I said was heartfelt. "I love you not for your appearance or because you're a princess. Besides, you didn't lie to me. Did you really think I didn't know who you are?" he said, then kissed my lips again, laughing softly. "Rose, you know, the real Princess Victoria never touches walnut cakes." Alex told me he'd actually sent people to investigate in Eldoria and learn some of Princess Victoria's habits. She was allergic to anything walnut-related and would break out in red bumps all over. As for dancing, she was proud of her status and would absolutely never touch it, he said, then suddenly looked at me with a smile. "That day returning from the palace, you ate a whole pound of walnut cakes by yourself. I knew then you couldn't be Princess Victoria." I screamed and rushed to cover his mouth. "Be quiet. That's impossible. That wasn't just my portion." So he'd known I wasn't Victoria since then. Then hadn't I been performing a poor act before him all along? How embarrassing. But my heart, in his unchanged gaze and kisses, gradually calmed. After a while, when the wounds had healed, Alex led me back to the imperial prison. In the cell that had held me for one night, the real Princess Victoria was now imprisoned. She accused me of impersonating her. She was coerced by Vincent's promise that if she just damaged my reputation and obtained the armored troops' military talisman from me, the late emperor would make him crown prince. Then he would make Victoria the crown princess. I was surprised. Victoria was originally so arrogant, why would she value the position of crown princess that Vincent promised? Alex said gently, "The Eldorian emperor is already dead. The new emperor isn't from the same mother as her. Moreover, having been previously bullied by her, he wants to kill her." Victoria struggled to escape from Eldoria's imperial palace to a border town where she met Vincent's people and came to rely on him. I gaped. "How do you know so clearly?" Alex seemed to see through my thoughts, smiling lightly. "Thalassa's borders also have my people." Just arriving at the cell door, Victoria rushed over, angrily gripping the iron bars. "How do you deserve this?" she screamed. "You're just lowly scum anyone can have. What gives you the right to replace me? Your lotus is tattooed on. Mine is the heaven-blessed auspicious flower." She looked truly pitiful, clearly not living well in prison. Alex protected me behind him, speaking indifferently. "Still concerned about this? Seems prison life isn't too bad." Victoria glared at him resentfully. "You're a bastard." Before she could finish, light from Ethan's blade flashed, silencing her. Alex smiled lightly. "Heaven-blessed auspicious flower. Say it 1,000 times and even you believe it." Victoria stood frozen in place. "To compete for favor when your mother gave birth to you. Just half an hour after birth, she had someone plant lotus parasites in you, making a lotus shape appear on your chest. In exchange, the parasites daily absorbed your essence and blood until you gradually weaken and would die early. Now you say this thing is an auspicious flower." Victoria desperately protested weakly. "You're lying. Today I brought Rose to see you one last time, not to hear your madness. But you should know clearly, though she and you don't share a mother, you're still blood sisters. You calling her lowly scum, isn't it because you think yourself noble and are angry when exposed?" Having said that, he didn't look at Victoria again, embracing my shoulder to leave. He only casually instructed Ethan, "Kill her. No need to keep the body." Behind us came Victoria's angry, desperate curses, gradually fading until inaudible. I leaned into his arms, sincerely praising, "Alex, you're truly amazing with words." Like what he just said. What meaning was there? He sighed, stroking my hair. "Rose, have you ever thought how could there be such coincidences in this world? Without blood relations, how could you and her look so alike?" Lightning seemed to strike through my mind. So the one who deceived my mother, the so-called noble, was the late Eldorian emperor. In an instant the hidden connections throughout my life suddenly became clear. Victoria was wrong. Madame was wrong. I wasn't born lowly. But the past couldn't be changed either. Walking out of the Imperial prison, early spring's cold invaded but was blocked by Alex's warm embrace. By his side, regardless of my identity, I always seemed precious. The gentle sunlight shone down. I still felt uneasy, tilting my head. But even if you don't mind, that day at the New Year's Eve banquet others also knew I wasn't the real Princess Victoria. If this spreads and Thalassa's citizens learn of it, won't your reputation be damaged? You... Before I could finish, Alex interrupted. He smiled, eyes sparkling. Then I say afterward, blinking and kissing my nose lightly. What, real or fake? There's only ever been one Princess Victoria in this world, you. 5 years later, when ice melted and snow flowed, my Empress coronation ceremony was chosen for a spring dusk. It was an auspicious day specially calculated by the imperial astronomer at Alex's request. Early in the morning, I was pulled from the covers by Lily. I'd wanted to linger a bit more, but she looked at me with pitiful eyes. This is the last time this servant can serve your majesty. Your majesty, please get up. I'd almost forgotten, Ethan had been made a general by Alex. After today's ceremony, she would move out of the mansion with her future husband. Lily helped me put on the complex Empress ceremonial robes layer by layer, placing the phoenix crown on my head. I looked in the bronze mirror and saw a woman of extraordinary beauty. For a moment I was dazed. From Jade House courtesan to fake princess, becoming the 9th prince's consort, then empress of a nation, my first 20 years truly felt like a dream. I took Alex's arm, following the protocol officer's guidance step by step up the high platform. He slightly tilted his head, speaking softly. Rose, don't be nervous. Everything you have, you deserve. I took a deep breath, gripping Alex's hand tighter. Finally passing the last threshold, Alex and I stood together on the high platform. The phoenix crown's long, complex tassels hung down, gently touching my ears like Alex's warm kisses from last night falling by my ear. And now, in the brilliant sunset glow with fire clouds intertwining, the person in my heart had also returned. Rose's journey teaches us that true worth isn't determined by birth or status, but by character and choices. Despite her humble origins in the Jade House, she found love with Alex, who saw beyond appearances. Their relationship shows that genuine connection transcends social barriers. Alex's patient deception to protect his plans reminds us that sometimes survival requires strategy. Most importantly, both chose vulnerability and trust over fear, proving that authentic love means accepting someone's complete truth, past, flaws, and all. In the end, Rose earned her position not through birthright, but through courage, loyalty, and love. Thank you all for listening. Please remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell to hear more stories. Thank you.